It's preptober. You know what that means. Hi guys. So, first day of preptober, Nanowrimo is just around the corner and we're getting excited, we're getting nervous. You realise I've got a great idea for a story, but then when it actually comes to writing it, you realise, oh, it's an idea, it's not a story. I'm in trouble. That happened last year for my first attempt at Nanowrimo, and that is the reason why I struggle so much. Got me thinking, so with this idea of a premise versus a plot, what is the actual difference there?
So first you have the premise. The premise is the initial spark you get in your head that kind of makes you think, that could be a good idea for a story. So for example, using my Nanowrimo last year, a premise for that, which I went with the premise, I didn't go with the plot, which was a massive mistake, and is where most of the issues came from last time. So the premise was what if witches were real? Just your everyday normal life, but witches are real and they're treated as more of a minority. So it's kind of a race issue. That's a good premise, but that's not a story. So the premise is the basis, the very basic plot idea that you haven't developed yet, that has the potential to grow into something more. So that's the premise, but that's not the story. The story is what you can do with that premise, how you can make it grow into something life-changing, not just for you as a writer, but for someone reading it. So you can develop a story from your premise by taking that bare minimum idea and then saying, okay, let's just run with it. Let's make characters, let's make a world, let's make a background, let's make a plan, let's make a future. Let's take this premise and turn it into an adventure. So that's the difference between a plot and a premise. The premise is the initial basic idea. The plot is how far you can run with it. So then brings the question, how do you take a premise and turn it into a plot? I've come up with 5 steps. They may not work for you. To be honest, depending on my motivation, they barely work for me, but that's another story. But yeah, I've come up with 5 steps. If you want to try them out, then go for it. These are just something that works for me. I'm not professional, I'm not published, so I'm not really in a position to give any solid advice that, you can really take to heart. But, we're all just here to have fun at the end of the day. Give them a go if you like. So, let's get into step 1. Write without thinking. And yeah, that doesn't really sound very productive, considering the whole idea of this is to turn the premise into a full-scale plot. So how can you do that without thinking and without planning? That's crazy, right? Not necessarily. So when I first get an idea for a story, and I have the basic, I have an idea of what I can do, maybe, but I haven't come up with a full story to go with it yet. I just write about this premise. First of all, I write the premise down so it's actually in front of me and I can see it, and then once you see it on that page and you realise there is so much more space on this page that needs filling, just let your ideas run wild. Sometimes it gets so jumbled up in here that it can't be seen properly, so you need to put it down either on screen, on a computer, or in one of my many notebooks. Write about ideas for the world, ideas for characters, things that you could do with this premise. Just go crazy. It doesn't even have to be something that you're going to put in your drafts later on when you actually start writing the story later. It doesn't matter. You just have to get all of those ideas on paper, and then before you know it, your brain is going off in tangents you didn't even know existed yet. And there's so much potential there. Just write without thinking and just have fun. Because if you have fun during this stage,
odds are you're going to have fun when you actually have some good details to put down. On to step 2. This one's a little bit trickier, but it is going to make the writing process so much easier. Have to figure out what kind of genre and age range you're going for. So a genre is the category your story will fit into. Be horror, comedy, romance, that kind of thing. Obviously there is so many more out there, but this video is not long enough to cover it all. So yeah, you've got to figure out what kind of story do you want this to be. Does this premise suit something really dark and eerie, or does it suit something more light-hearted and fanciful? Can you go on an adventure with this premise, or is this a premise that you want to hide from? And from there, you can decide what kind of age range you want to go for. Do you want to go for young adults, new adults, children's, adults? So there's so many out there. Once you pinpoint those ideas and have a concept of genre and age range, it makes the thing so much easier, because then you have a boundary to fill. Little details like that will make things so much easier for you later down the line. Step 3. Characters. Last thing, I am a full believer that you could have a story as simple as a group of people going to the shops to go and get some food for dinner. Something as simple and everyday as that, but it will be an entertaining trip if the characters are fun and believable. Think of what kind of characters would fit into this premise. What kind of people would work with this idea? Or even crazier still, what kind of people would not work in this situation whatsoever? Because the outcasts are usually the ones that end up being your main characters, or at least very strong supportive characters. Would these characters enjoy being in this situation, or would they hate it, or would they just feel indifferent to it, but other people around them seem to have a reaction? So do they feed off of those reactions? Do they rebel against those reactions? How did they get there? What are they doing there? Do they want to get out? Characters make the story, in my personal opinion. Once you have an idea of who you're writing, the why becomes so much better. Step 4. Threat. Now, everybody loves a good villain, but sometimes you don't need a villain. Sometimes you just need a threat, and the villain will come later. In this premise, in this world that you're starting to put together, and with these characters that you're starting to get the concept of, what is the threat? What is the worst thing that could happen in this premise? Could it be that the world is going to end? Could it be that someone is trying to take over the world? Is someone trying to summon a demon? Is somebody trying to wipe out a race? What is the risk? What is the threat? What are your characters trying to do to stop this threat from happening? Again, this premise idea could be the world is going to end and you have an hour to fix it. Okay, and you've got an idea of some characters to go with it. Okay. But how is the threat going to happen? How big is the threat? What are they going to do to stop it? It's just something to turn this premise on its head of, okay, this is an idea, to, oh god, this could be an idea. Having a threat will really help your character's motivations as well. And character motivation, going back into step 3, is what pushes the story forward. Finally, we're on to step 5, and I hate saying this so much because it is such a cliche and stupid thing, but it kind of works, and it tears apart the anxiety inside of me and all that horrible stuff. But step 5 is talk to people, bounce your ideas off of people around you. Even if you don't have anyone around you that you feel comfortable talking to about your writing and about your ideas, there are online forums where you can do it anonymously. There is a support system out there, and they are honest. Sometimes brutally honest, I'm not gonna lie, but at least they are being honest with you. talking to people has actually helped. There is only, in all honesty, I can count the people I trust to talk about my writing on one hand. But that's a personal social awkwardness thing and anxiety monsters bouncing around in there. It has helped to actually talk to people about it, and as horrible as it can be, it does work. It does. So yeah, quick recap. Step 1, write without thinking. Just get all of your ideas out on one piece of paper or one document and just run with it and see where it goes. Step 2, try and figure out your genre and your age range pretty early on, because then that'll make the whole writing process so much easier. Step 3, try and figure out what your characters would do in this situation, how they want to stop it or how they want to continue it, and try and make them as crazy as possible just to have more fun. Step 4, what is your threat? What is the threat and how does it impact this premise of yours? How far can it go and how far do your characters want it to go? Or what are they willing to do to make sure it doesn't go anywhere? What is the threat? Step 5, talk to people, bounce your ideas around, get on a few forums. It does work. For me, it works for me. Like I said before, this is just 5 steps that I usually take to turn a premise into a plot, and it doesn't always work for me. It's the steps that I take most often. So yeah, I hope this video helped in some way. Happy Preptober to everybody out there, and I hope that everyone is having a great day. Happy writing! Bye guys!